Today, we're going to talk about Microsoft compensation specifically for new hires or those of you who have recently joined, or perhaps you are planning to join or looking at an offer. This video will really provide you with an overview of Microsoft compensation and how it works in those first couple of years of employment. With that being said, we do have a quick disclaimer and we're moving on. So let's start with the basics of forms of compensation from Microsoft. First off, you have your base salary that's given to you in cash on a monthly basis. That's pretty straightforward. And then we have annual cash bonuses. These cash bonuses are paid out in September of each year. If you recently joined Microsoft or perhaps receiving an offer, there very well may be a on-hire cash bonus. These are typically paid out within the first, call it 30, 60 days of employment. However, I have seen bonuses in the past that have been split up into two payments as well. Again, it's just very dependent on the offer that you have been given. Lastly, we do have stock awards. Again, we could have on-hire stock awards, and then we have just regular annual stock awards that are given to you. The on-hire awards very well and most likely will have a different vesting schedule than these traditional annual type of stock awards. And we'll get into those differences here in just a second. So let's take a look at a timeline for the first couple of years of a new hire at Microsoft and how these different forms of compensation layer on top of one another. So the first thing we have here is a hire date. We have your salary starting, and we also have potentially an on-hire cash bonus. Again, I have seen on-hire cash bonuses be paid out in two payments, but let's, for this example, just look at a one-time cash bonus payout. In addition to that cash bonus, we also have an annual cash bonus that could be paid out in September. Depending on when you join Microsoft, you may or may not receive that, but if you start at Microsoft in the earlier part of the year, there very well could be a September cash bonus for you. We then have on-hire stock awards. The typical vesting for these awards is a 25% vest over 4 years. So you wouldn't be receiving any of those on-hire stock award shares until 1 year after employment. We then have the regular annual stock awards. Again, if you start earlier in the year, you very well could have just a regular stock award that would be starting in November. An easy way to remember when those stock awards happen is an acronym called FMAN. So February, May, August, November of each year, those annual stock awards are vesting. That's typically 20% per year over a 5-year time period. Now we'll take a look at an example with some numbers, and we can compare side by side how annual total compensation looks in those first 6 years of employment. In this example, we have a base salary of $195,000, and then we have an annual cash bonus of $39,000, and those will remain constant throughout this time period. So we can see by looking at the annual stock awards that over time, those awards will make up a greater portion of your total compensation as those grants begin to stack on top of each other as you receive those each year. We then have in the first year also an on-hire cash bonus in this example of $100,000, making up a large percentage of our total compensation in year one. And then for years 2 through 5, we have the on-hire stock awards that again are making up a fairly large portion on top of just the traditional stock awards. And then there's a slight drop off in year 6. But really what those on-hire stock awards do and that on-hire cash bonus is it levels out your income for the most part in years 1 through 6. Again, there might be a drop off just depending on how many stock awards you've received and what those grants look like. But for those first 6 years, compensation is pretty level, which obviously is great for cash flow planning, etc. I hope you found this information useful. If you do have any questions about your benefits or compensation, feel free to follow us on LinkedIn or on YouTube, or check out our dedicated Microsoft employee resource page on our website at avadvisors.com. We post a ton of free educational content. So again, we're here to help if you have any questions. Thank you.